So what's up, Stevi, man?
What's up?
It's good, man. I feel like I ain't seen you in a minute. How are you?
I'm good.
That's
you
good.
know,
That's
keeping
good.
my head down a little bit, but I'm back. I'm out. You know, from the mommy slump.
Bruh, you been look. I think what Destiny said. You came to the housewarming. After that, we ain't see.
Nah,
we ain't see.
I'm really good at tucking away.
No, for real, man.
So I'm trying to be more intentional about,
Yeah.
seeing my people.
Yeah.
You know, you really can't be for everybody, but I'm like, I love y'all.
That's
so
true. That's true.
I'm making it more
you know what I also paid attention, especially because Destiny always, oh, you and Stevie are like, but what I noticed is like, just, you know, everybody talk about energy nowadays, but for real, we really got to watch like how much like we exert. You know what I'm saying? Because it be a lot. Like, I ain't never been that exhausted. Like, I think during the pandemic, I had got real exhausted of just seeing people. And like, I would just go in the room and I'd be like, that's just like, you good? I'm like, yeah, my people meter down right now. Like, I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? But I understand where you coming from, especially like being a wife, but now being a new mom. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you giving your daughter all that energy, and then plus other people want to see you, and then it's just, you know, it's just that people meter. It's just like,
you know, I don't think that human beings were meant to have this much interaction. It's kind of like my own little personal philosophy, but I think that when you take the time to really settle into yourself, then you're able to give a better version of yourself to everybody else.
Most definitely. I forgot who I was talking to. Oh, matter of fact, I know who I was talking to. I was talking to Angel, right? Angel was talking about how you have to give yourself, if you don't give yourself, people would think it's selfish, but if you give yourself 100%, you're able to give somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Your cup is running over. Now you can pour. You know what I'm saying? But it's hard to be on 50% and then give the last of what you got. You know what I'm saying?
Like I don't want to give grudgingly. I don't want it to feel like, here, take that. Here, fine. Here, have my phone call. Here, have my... And, you know, that doesn't serve anybody for sure.
No, it don't. You know what I'm saying? And it hurts us a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because we take the blow, but now we projecting how we feeling onto other people. You know what I'm saying? So,
big time.
But today we will be discussing. It was a plethora of words that popped in my head. You know, poverty, but you came up with the perfect words. You said scarcity mindset. You know what I'm saying? And was it last Sunday or the Sunday before last?
Sunday before last, I want to say.
Yeah, it almost came out the same time. It was like, what you want to pray for? And we both said it, you know what I'm saying? And the scarcity mindset. So one of my questions to you is like, how has the scarcity mindset affected you in a general way?
In a general way? Generally, I would just say that it's kind of manifested into complacency. I think that's like one of the fruit, if you will, or the weeds that sprout out as a result of that. You know, you start to realize like, I don't know if I should. And I think sometimes people just label it very base level and say like it's laziness. But I think a lot of times we don't understand how that comes from somewhere else. You know, if you're not having the kind of drive or the purpose that you've had in the past, there's something attached to that, you know. And I think that's really what was starting to come up for me. And I'm like, why do I feel like I'm not motivated? Why do I feel like I'm complacent, or that I'm not really pushing myself like I have in the past? For other people, you know, laziness can be a part of like depression and things like that. But for me, I think it was a limiting belief.
So like, how would you say scarcity has affected now that you're 3 years married, almost going on 4?
Am I? 2020. So this makes 3.
3 years.
Yeah, we've been married for 2 years. We've been together for 6.
Oh, dang, it feel like,
I know, isn't that crazy?
Like a minute, you know what I'm saying?
I know, I'm like, is this 5th year? I'm like, no, we going on 3 this year.
Dang. So y'all going on 3?
Yeah, in August.
Dang, it felt like it was already 3. Okay, well, I guess I'm off.
I'm like, you been in our trenches or something? You know, because, you know, listen,
you
the
know,
work.
the married life is, you know, punch a bag. You boom, boom, boom.
Exactly.
Getting hit up, man. But, no, so, like, how has the scarcity mindset affected you being a wife and now a new mother? Like, how has that affected that lifestyle?
It has in a big way. I think that if you're seeing marriage in like a godly sense or in the correct way, then you're seeing it as two really becoming one.
Right.
And the things that I don't settle, the things that I don't get worked out or heal, they immediately impact my partner. So if I have limiting beliefs, if I have a scarcity mindset, then if you know my husband, he's a faith man. So he's at the edge of the cliff and he has big vision for our family. And if I'm behind him, you know, doubting or second guessing everything that he wants to do, then it impacts not just me now, but also my daughter, you know, the things that God has spoken over us. You know, and I think so much of the scarcity mindset has to do with fear. And it's something that I realize, you know, we talk about legacy so much, you know, even generational wealth. But at the end of the day, we pass along things too, like our traumas, our fear. You know, that's something I'm actually not trying to. In Jesus' name, it's broken off.
Right.
But that's something I had to break off because I come from like a family lineage that we're wise.
Right.
But it's borderlining on fear. And I can't pass that down to Noah. So I have to work those things out now before it gets legs and starts to run off before I can catch it, you know?
Yeah, so, okay. So that's good that you talked about, like, legacy, because I wanted to, like, travel back in time, like, to the younger you or just, like, yes, like, the younger you. How has this mindset affected you as a kid? Like, you know, because everything is you know, there's a lot of childhood trauma that we deal with, you know what I'm saying? So how has it affected your like you being a child and then you know what I'm saying?
You know, it's a story. For me growing up, like I grew up in like a upper middle class family.
Right.
You know, my dad came from nothing. So he was poor, one of 7, single mom, and he was very determined to make something of himself, you know? So I think because of that too, he still kind of had a little bit of fear of ever going back to where he came from. So I kind of got glimpses of that here and there, but we were doing really well. Until we weren't. It was almost like it happened in the blink of an eye. Like my mom got sick with breast cancer.
Right.
And she was working. She was making good money too.
Still?
Huh?
Like while she had it?
No, before that. So when she got sick, she kind of had to sit out for a while, right? So the paychecks weren't coming in for her. And then my dad, because you know that's the love of his life, he was allocating a lot of his time to making sure she was okay. And because of that, he got laid off from his job. Dang. So we go from 2 incomes to none, right? And because my dad was like a heavy saver, we were doing okay. And the thought was like, we're believing in Jesus' name, my mom is gonna be okay. So once she's back up on her feet, she goes back to work, my dad finds more work and we're good. And then when she passed away, my dad didn't have a job either, right? And then to make matters worse, it was like the perfect storm. The insurance policy messed up on my mom's coverage. So my dad had hired some guy.
I hear a lawsuit?
I don't know. My dad doesn't talk about it much. I think because for him, he's like, if I go down this road, I'll be going down this road for 20 years. And I just, but they messed up the policy and they put the wrong names. So instead of us getting the payout of life insurance for my mom, my dad's name was on the paperwork. So it was just a nightmare. And at the same time, I was going off to college. Which is really expensive. So I'm away at college, and on my second year, my dad is like, I don't know what to tell you. You know, you're going to have to get some more student loans, but you got to cover it yourself. I literally have enough at this point, because I have a younger brother too. I have enough at this point to send you back to Spelman on a one-way ticket.
Okay.
You got to figure it out. So for me, it was like really jarring because I think when you do grow up used to certain things, you don't really have a real understanding of how money works until you don't have any. And you're like, oh my God. So, you know, here I am now, I'm picking up like 2 jobs and I'm living with my aunt out like an hour from campus and driving in. And I think for me, it felt like, the floor kind of like broke from underneath me in a lot of ways, you know. Not only was I feeling like oh my God, we ain't got no money. But I'm like, my mom just died. Like it was so much at the same time that I think it kind of created like a trauma that just never really got healed. So after that, I think that I was just not really trusting God. I think there was an issue there too of like, God, my mom is gone. Like, we don't got no money no more. Like, can I trust you in anything?
Yeah.
And I think that it went unresolved for so long that's kind of how the scarcity mindset started.
So did you have a firm relationship with God because of your parents, or because you talked about college? So like, I in my head, I don't know why, but I was thinking you was like high school. You was telling me like high school, but when you went to college already, I'm like, oh, so she just speaks. She's kind of sped past all of that. So like where did your take me through like, where did you develop your relationship with God? Like, when did it happen?
Yeah, I grew up in the church.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay.
It was like a small Baptist church.
Yeah.
So I had an understanding of God, but I don't think I had a full intimacy with God.
Oh, okay.
Actually, probably until my mom passed.
Oh,
when that happened, I think I was finally comfortable. Or I think I just lived a really privileged life. Like, sometimes you don't know that you need God until you need God.
You need him,
yeah, because at that moment, I'm like, God, I'm pissed.
Yeah.
So we got to talk, you know, and I feel like I could really come to him in like the fullness of my anger and resentment and issues. And that's when I was like, okay, we're starting to kind of get a relationship going.
Yeah.
But that was I was 16 when my mom passed. So I was a junior in high school. I'm still trying to be out. You know, I'm just trying to be with my friends, go to clubs. What was it, like Club Kiss? You remember Club Kiss?
Dang,
Are you younger than me though?
No, I heard of Club Kiss.
Okay, Club Kiss. I was like going out with my friends to the, you know, teen clubs. I was just trying to be out. And even when I got to college, I had a firm foundation. I will say that, like, no matter how wild I wanted to get, I felt something going like, okay, chill out. That's not you, you know? But yeah, I think that it took a while until I was able to say, like, wait, God, who have you actually made me to be? That wasn't a question that I really ever thought of.
Yeah. That's, dang. Because I catch myself asking God right now, like, what is my purpose? What is going on? Like, what do you want me to do? You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I feel like I'm operating in the way of, like, am I operating on my own behalf, you know, leaning on my own understanding, or am I trying to seek you? You know what I'm saying? But that stuff is hard. So, like, I do want you to, like, kind of tap into how did your mom's passing, like, affect you, like, mentally? Because think about it. You say you're 16, and, like, you're 16.
Yeah.
Like how you say you want to go out, you got friends, you got family, but then you are hit with this.
Yeah.
So, like, how do you balance all of that as a 16-year-old?
I look back, and a lot of it is honestly a blur, because I think I was going through depression.
Oh,
like I
didn't know it?
I didn't know it. I had this weird, I was like sleeping in until, 12. I wasn't, I would be like telling my dad, like, hey, I don't feel well. I can't go to school today. It got so weird to the point where my dad called me down one day. He was like, Stevi D, that's what he called me. Stevi D, come down real quick. I was like, okay. So I came downstairs, and he sat me down, and he's like, you've been, in your room a lot, and you've been saying that you don't feel well, when it's time to go to school, and you've been sleeping in a lot, And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, you think I'm pregnant?
Oh,
he thought I was pregnant. I'm like, I'm not pregnant.
Yeah.
And he was like, because he didn't really have an idea of what depression was.
What was going,
where he grew up from, he was like,
we get
either your nerves is bad or you just sad. Like, come
Yeah.
on. So for him, he literally thought I was pregnant and I was depressed. But I didn't even have the language for that at the time. So for me, it was really trying to cope the best I could. So it was trying to literally escape to spend time with my friends.
Trying to block out the feelings and stuff.
Yeah, for real. And I think even me going to Spelman in a way was like me just trying to get away from LA. I was like, I've been here, it's depressing coming home to the same house every day. Like, if I can get 3,000 miles away or 5,000, like, where's my plane ticket, you know? But I didn't know at the time that I was running from something. Dang. Yeah.
Man, that's crazy, man. Like, it's crazy that we got to live this. Well, we got to be dealt these cards, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was in a previous episode, the person, her mom passed away too. But then we was just talking about how, like, with Destiny's, her father passing. And I was just like, damn, because, like, I have, I got the, like, my mom and dad is still here.
Yeah.
But when I met her and then that happened to Destiny, I was able to look through the window of a person that is going through and still going through, like, that hurt. So that's why, like, I wanted to ask you, like, how was you able to balance that? Because I'm looking at a, adult and it's hard for her, sometimes to balance that. And it's like, that don't go away. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's also too because I love that you said you're looking through a window.
Yeah, because I ain't, you know.
And I feel like we're looking through a window. Because we don't really have the full scope of what happened either.
Oh, okay,
you know,
yeah.
especially if it happened fast. My mom got diagnosed in November of 2005. September of 2006, she was gone. So it's like by the time I got to even understand, like, you're sick, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And she was, so for me, I look back at that time too, and I'm like, God, what was that? Why did you have that happen? And there's so many unanswered questions.
Yeah,
so it can make you feel like you're getting a peephole too.
Yeah.
Which is why I do believe that for some of us, God gives us like beauty for ashes in our relationships. And even in our kids.
Yeah.
You know, like when Destiny has you, she's getting an unconditional love. You know, somebody that's choosing to, it's a different kind of love because you're choosing to show up every single day.
Yeah.
But sometimes you get that love from a partner or a spouse and you're like, oh, like, wow, I'm getting a different understanding of what love is. And it kind of paints a picture for you with your parent. Or for me and Noah, I'm like, I know how much I care about this human.
Yeah.
So it gives me a different glimpse into how my mom felt about me. You think you understand until you understand. You're like, yo, I would kill for you.
Yeah.
And you see your parent and you're like, oh, you would have killed for me, you know? So it's never going to replace anything. But I think that God starts to kind of get the window a little bigger as you get older to get more context.
Yeah, most definitely. I feel like you know, they always say hindsight is 20/20. So like a lot of things, you be like, oh, so that's what that was. You know what I'm saying? But to follow that up, I do want to ask you about your mental though. You know what I'm saying? That's something that I do. But I do want to ask you, you know, how was your mental starting this year, like from a 1 to 10, 10 being the highest?
Like the overall year or like now?
Well, like now, like from the start of it until now. Like how was it in January until, you know what I'm saying, now we in May.
Yeah, we in May.
I know, right? It's crazy. It's like a blur.
It is. I would say that in the beginning of the year, I think I was somewhere, I think I might have told you I was like at a 6.5.
Oh yeah, you did say that, yeah.
Yeah, I was having like a rough time just trying to figure out what was next. Like you said, like your calling, what God wants to do, like God, is it pleasing to you? You know, just all of these questions that were coming up and it was really weighing on me.
Yeah.
But now I feel like I'm at like a good 8.5.
Oh, that's good. Okay, you running.
Yeah. But I think what I realized is that spiritually, it is such an intentionality thing. You know, I think in the beginning of the year, I was running on fumes. So I'm like, God, please give me a download, do something.
Yeah.
And then now I feel like God is starting to say, like, you have to really curb your appetite for what you're taking in. Because I'm not about to scream at you. I'm just not going to do it. Like, either you're going to get close to me so I can talk. That's how I feel with my daughter, which is funny. I'm like, I'm about to yell at you. So just come over here so we can talk. But God isn't trying to yell and compete with all the things I have going on. I was on social media too much. I'm watching too much Netflix. I'm listening to all kind of random stuff, you know, and I felt like I was around so much counterfeit that it was really hard for me to discern what God was saying.
No, that's crazy, man, because it's all about like quieting our minds. Like it's funny because like I catch myself telling Destiny, like, Destiny, what are you watching on social media? But what I have to do is I have to start with myself. So like I have to pay attention to what I'm doing. But it's so important, like how you said, being intentional, because at the end of the day, like, it's our relationship with God. You know what I'm saying? Like he like how you said, it's like, I'm not about to scream. Like even on the boat, they tripping. They like, oh, it's rocking. What's going on? And he probably got up. He said, oh my God,
y'all want some. Yeah.
What's going on? But they had to seek him. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. I look at a lot of those stories and I'm like, dang, like I was reading, I think it was like 1 Samuel. I think it was 1 Samuel. But it was just talking about how like David, every time he went to God, like, and I was just looking at the difference between how Saul operated and how David did. Like Saul, he went to God too, but it was a point in time where he just didn't listen. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I feel like we have those slumps, you know what I'm saying? But
Yes.
David always seeked God and always heard from him. Like, okay, you want me to go? Okay, cool, got you. And I'm like, how do I get on the channel like that? Like, he got, like, bro, your signal is good.
Right, like, where you tuned into
Like,
so I can get tapped
and
in.
then what am I doing wrong to where I can't hear nothing?
You know what's crazy? I think that is what the issue was. I had my mental messed up.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, I don't feel like I'm hearing from you.
Yeah.
But it's funny you mentioned David, because I don't even know who said this, but somebody said, David was ratchet. Like, he had his season where he was doing his thing,
You know what I'm
and
saying?
he out there, singing to the Lord and making songs.
Yep.
And then there's a season where
He want people wife.
he trying to get people killed in the front line.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody said, but they said that David was a man after God's heart.
Yep.
And they said they think the reason why, even with all his righteousness, is that he was always honest with the Lord. He just was always coming to him in full surrender.
Yeah.
Even when he was pissed, even when he was happy, he always gave him the realest version of him.
Yeah.
And I think about that a lot. I'm like, okay, am I giving my full self?
Are you showing up at,
am I showing up as who I think he needs me to be in this moment? Or
Right.
am I showing up fully as me?
Right.
And that makes a big difference. And I love that you said that too, like talking about our diet, what we're taking in. I don't think I realized how those incremental little things matter so much to God.
Yeah.
'Cause to me, I'm like, I'm listening to this, but it ain't that big of a deal. Or I'm watching this, but like, it's not like it's, and he's like, I want every little thing.
Yeah.
I want it all. I want you to get revelation from the smallest of things, and that's kind of what's been happening.
Yeah, that's true. And I used to catch myself a lot of the times, like hopping in the car, and this is before, but hopping in the car, turning on music, or once you wake up, it's like something has to be on. But then when something is on, then that's when you can't hear the little whispers.
It's true.
You can't hear the like, hey, don't do that, or go left, don't go right. It's just like a lot of things that we miss, but we blocking it all out because like how you talked about earlier in the conversation, we trying to get away from something.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Whether it's irritation, where it's sadness, where it's just depression, where it's a lot of things, we are literally running from something every single like second of the day. But it was this book that I read, Brian put me on. It's called Outwitting the Devil, and it talked about how the devil comes to just distract. So think about all of the distractions that we just laid out. And it's like, that's all he doing is just throwing little things out there. And now it's like, okay, now we biting on this. Now we biting on that. And now he got us.
Yes.
Now we can't hear from nothing because we already got, you know what I'm saying? But it's crazy in how that all like, think about, and it talks about poverty in that book as well. And it talks about how if you keep your mind on poverty, you will never get away from poverty. Like, you running away from it, but you'll you looking back the whole time. You always like this.
Yeah.
Oh, poverty, but it's power in the tongue.
Yes.
So if we speaking it, we're never, like, it's like, I tell people, it's, like, it's people that got away from it, right?
Yeah.
But this is one thing that I heard. They said, this one wealthy dude said, he said, it's okay to look back at your past, but don't stare back too long. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to glimpse back and see where you came from, but always keep your eyes what's in front of you.
Yep.
But yes, like, if you keep that in your mouth and I'm getting away, I'm like, bruh, like, that book opened my eyes. I was like, dang, how much we get not exposed, but how much we are distracted.
Yes.
And how once he got us on this hamster wheel, we are just running.
Yep.
You know,
and that's the feeling. Dang, Darnell, you speaking, bro. That's the feeling that had me in my 6.5. Yeah. I'm like, I am running and I'm sweating. And I feel like I haven't moved an inch.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm like, what is going on? And you can blame having kids and stuff like that, but I still have a kid now and I feel 10 times better. I love that you mentioned looking back, because even when you mentioned the book Outwitting the Devil, I'd heard about that book. And I'm torn because I do think that there's some wisdom to be had about understanding who your adversary is.
For sure.
And I'm also really focused on keeping my eyes fixed on Jesus.
Right.
Because I do know that if I look at what the enemy's doing for too long, now I'm distracted too.
Now you're distracted too.
It's that proximity thing you talked about, where you look back enough to go like, oh man, God has brought me through some things, but not long enough to be running. My dad said he was he substitute teachers, and a little kid was looking back so long that he ran into a pole, busted his lip.
You will.
You know what I'm saying? And I think about that. I'm like, I've been looking back for so long about what's been behind me to the point where I can collide into anything.
Yeah.
You know, I collide into my husband. I can collide into my kids.
Yep.
So I think it's really important to set your mind on the high thoughts.
What's crazy is that me and Destiny, we went back to where we used to stay on 51st. And when we looked, and I was like, you could tell when God has removed the grace from something. And we talking about looking back. So not even every so often, because just the other day we was driving down Normandy, and I didn't even think to turn down that block. Right. But when we have, it just looks so ran down, and I'm like, oh, thank you, God. Yes. And we ain't been back there in so long. Like, we don't even go on that side of town no more. Right. I low-key feel a certain type of way, because, you know, coming from the hood, it's kind of like, but that's a distraction too. When you come from the hood, and it's like, that's why they say, you know, like, it's like basically being in a bucket. It's like when you in that bucket, you don't know nothing is wrong, but when you get out, you like, oh, you know what I'm saying? So like when we drove down there, I'm like, this is crazy. But being just a few miles up, you know, I'm north, it helps a lot, because my mindset is not, I can stare, I can look and be like, oh, I used to stay over there, but I don't want to go back over there.
Hello, I can't relate like that.
I'm cool. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things where God really showed, like how you say, like when you quiet your mind and everything, like he shows you like this is okay, yes, this is where I've taken you, but where you are now, don't even it's one of those things of like being present, but sometimes like I even feel like don't even get too comfortable where your feet are. Yeah. Because God, this is only the tip of the iceberg. God is he's literally trying to show us the next step. He ain't gonna have us be stagnant. Like think about, and I don't know why like God has like kind of taking me through the Bible, but I'm like, God was showing me how many like territories that David was taking over before he was even king. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, I ain't gonna butcher the names, because it was Sheba.
Hello, come on.
I'm like, look, I was over there trying to pronounce the words. I'm like, so he took over Sheba. Okay, cool. But it was one of those things where like he wasn't even a king yet. God had already like said he was to Samuel, but he was out there, you know, still being obedient, asking God, okay, should I do this? Should I do that? But he was taking over territory, and I was just like, that's what we supposed to be doing, because
it's ours. You
know what I'm saying?
That scarcity mindset has your identity messed up. It's such an identity issue.
And it's not even real.
I know.
It's not real. Like it's truthfully a distraction that has like got us in a wave of generations. So that's why it's so deep in us. You know what I'm saying? Because you said your dad, but then we like, did you ever ask your dad about like your grandpa, like the lineage?
That's interesting, because he never met his dad.
Oh.
You know?
Okay.
So I think that's something too that inherently as like Black people, or, you know, if you're in certain like underrepresented communities, there's gaps in your lineage.
That's facts.
So sometimes you don't get the wisdom poured down. You know, that's why he was so adamant, like that verse, teach a child up in the way that they should go. So when they're old, they won't depart from it. But that's good or bad. Yeah, that is. When you teach a child up, they may not depart from that thing because it's ingrained. Like you mentioned earlier, like your first 10 years are so formative. And then it's like at that point, you're now either trying to break things off or you're trying to steward what you already have.
And that's so true, because like how you talked about being born into the church, I was, but then I also had like a rebellious spirit at a young age, like catching my first case at 10. But I remember also like hiding in the closet. Like I was so little, like we had it was like, the closet was a little tall, but it wasn't that tall. But it was like, so you had little drawers, but then you had a big little situation to where you open it up and then you can hang your clothes in.
Oh, okay.
So I used to hide in between my clothes and just close the door on Sundays because I didn't want to go to church. So, but I remember like how you talked about like raise a child up, like those 10 years, like I caught my first case. Like I got in trouble with the police when I was 10. I was on probation from 10 years old till 12th grade. And I'm thinking about, you said like the first 10 years are so important because like it was already written that I wasn't supposed to make anything happen. But like how you said, you're either living that out in just complete just destruction, or you are breaking something off. And I feel like I was in the middle because I was basically playing both sides of the fence. I was trying to break it off, but then I'm like, it's fun over here too, though. You know what I'm saying? It's fun. Like when you growing up, robbing, fighting is easy. So it's like, okay, do the thing that's easy, especially when you a kid.
Yeah.
But then when I learned that like God holds you accountable at the age of 12, I'm like, hold on, that's not real. How you gonna hold me accountable at 12? Like, I'm still getting in trouble and it's still fun. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not getting caught either. Like the only time I got caught when I was 12, I ain't getting caught the rest of the I learned, got smart, you know what I'm saying? But like how you said, it's so funny that you said this. I used to always say like I never really heard from God, but I always did. So when I was on my way to committing the crime, it was crazy because we went 3 days in a row. We broke into our elementary school, right?
Okay.
3 days in a row, but the third day, something all like they say 3 times you're out.
Charm.
Yeah, 3 times. The charm. Yeah, three times the charm. Yeah, so 3 times the charm, and I was like, everything. It was like don't go back, but it was loud. I'm talking about as I'm walking up to the gate, it got louder and louder. It was like, do not go back, and I was like, yep, hop the gate. Stevie, I hopped the gate, and we in there just causing a ruckus. We had mini refrigerators. I'm talking about, look, we had a time. But it's crazy because something still was talking to me in that time. That's why I thank God for my mind, because I was able to still hear, but he told me to leave. And I was like, all right, bet. So I didn't tell nobody. They were like, where you going? Like, they thought I was leaving. I'm like, wait, man, where you going? I'm like, hey, bro, like, I'm just finna leave real quick. Like, you feel me? And as I'm like, so I'm walking back, but something is telling me like, pick up your steps. So I go from walking to jogging, and then I'm like scared now. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, why am I? Because I wasn't scared a few minutes ago. So as I'm running, I hear the Mexicans. So my elementary school is a gate that separates somebody's house, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's people that live on the other side. So as I'm running, so it's bungalows, and then in between the bungalows, I'm running, but then there's a gate. So I'm running, and then all I hear is, policia, 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 we call police. And I'm like, huh? What? I'm like, and you know me, I'm like, you niggas called the police on me? But I'm like, man, F it, I ain't about to talk to them. So I kept running. So then I'm running fast, but I hit the gate, my home, like I told you, people stay right there.
Right.
So I hopped the gate, and the little bando that was right there I called it a bando, but that's how we treated it, because we put all of the stuff in there. It was actually the homie house, or my old best friend house. So we put all the stuff there, and I hop the gate and I go in the house, and I'm like, so by the time I hit the gate, I hear the helicopters, and I'm like, ooh, like, is they on me?
Right.
Mind you, I'm 10 years old, so I'm just all of these thoughts, and I go in the house, and I'm like, God, what is going on? So, but I'm not saying that to myself, but I'm like, I'm nervous. So, but I'm hearing like, do not go back, do not go back. Mind you, I don't listen, I go back.
Goodness.
So, but mind you, I got a jersey on. Okay. So it's Mexicans playing soccer on the field. So I stand with it. I don't even know them. I just go stand with them. But I go stand with them to go see what's going on.
Right.
So by the time I go and stand with them, I turn around and I got a clear shot of where I was. So I look and I see the police with their guns out pointed at my friends and they dog that they had. And I guess the dog was like trying to attack the police. So I'm looking, I'm like, but it's crazy because as I'm hearing don't go back, I'm literally inching closer and closer. So I leave the pack of people that's on the field playing soccer.
Right.
I go towards the police. So I'm like, and it's like, and a part of me is talking about being in the bucket. Yeah. A part of me was like, I can't leave them. Yep. And I'm getting closer and closer and closer. So I got so close to the police was like, hey, get over here. And they had told them that, long story short, they had told them. So that's how and I was 10.
Exactly.
The oldest person was 13.
Okay.
So and then the youngest person was 8.
Oh my God.
So we was all like just in trouble. But it's crazy how our minds, and I'm 10. And ain't nobody ever told me not to snitch. Ain't nobody ever told me like, don't leave your friends or nothing. But like, it's a principality that's over that was, and now I believe that's over my family too, because also, well, I'm not gonna speak that, but I pray that it break. But all of my cousins that's my age and a little older than me, I was wondering why I never really had like older male cousins. They always in jail.
Whoa.
All of them. Like my cousin that's my age right now is doing 15 years.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I look at my life and being on probation from 10 years old to 12th grade, I was supposed to be like that.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? But like what you said, it's either you're breaking something off or you're living that thing out. You know what I'm saying? But it's crazy how poverty and like it can seep in, and once it gets its nails in you, it's a wrap. Like I was still fighting that thing off until probably like a couple of years, and I'm still fighting it off because I'm always thinking about the homies in the hood. I'm always thinking about the, you know, like the people that you lost and all of it's like so ingrained. But like, I don't know. It's crazy how God fights for you, but it's even more crazy how the devil tries to fight as much or as hard to get you. You know what I'm saying? And it's like we in the middle of this battle. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's so crazy. But
and I think sometimes we don't even see it for what it is. Like you said, the principalities. Yeah. Like sometimes it seems like it's a really simple thing. Like it's just a flesh and blood type thing. Yeah. But then you realize too that the devil's not busy with everybody.
No.
Demons aren't busy with everybody. You know, there has to be something there that's a threat, you know, to that dimension. So that's why it comes so heavy.
And seeing it, like, and this is, and I was actually talking to the young woman that I said that her mom passed away. Yes. And her story is crazy when you hear that, but she was young when tragedy hit her. Wow. And when she was talking about her situation, it caught me, and I was like, dang, that's crazy how powerful we is, because the devil see how powerful he is as a kid when we don't know nothing.
Don't know anything.
He see it already. And he trying to get us. He trying to attack us. He try to bring tragedy to your life in a young age and trying to get your mind all wrapped up into nothing. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy, like, but like how you said, we have to quiet everything out to be able to see what's inside of us, to hear God. Like David probably wouldn't have knew he was a king unless he was being able to chase after God's heart. Yeah. Like it's crazy how he was in the field tending after sheep. And he was appointed. Like all of what he was doing that led him to that day to where God was like, send Samuel, go get that boy. Like, and it's crazy because think about it, like how you said, the devil ain't knocking on everybody's door. Think about it. Samuel done seen all of David's brothers. He like, no, not him. Not him. No, not him either. You got somebody else? Because it's like, no, like that went out there in the field. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like we are appointed. You know what I'm saying? But we don't know. You know what I'm saying? And like how you said, like your dad didn't even know his dad, and then talking about fathers not being in the household, like you're breaking curses already because now your daughter got a father in the household. Like that's a beautiful thing, you know what I'm saying? Big time.
Like that's something I wanted to hold on to. I saw how important it was for my dad to be in my life. Yeah. And I'm like, you know, God willing, that same thing will happen for my child and so forth and so on. And it will. And I love that you mentioned Samuel, because I think that just as much as the enemy has his own intentions, God is sending people to us to really help pull us up out of that thing. Yeah. But I think sometimes with that whole identity issue, if you don't see yourself right, you can't discern who's for you and who's not.
Exactly. That is true.
That's true. People come up to you and you're like, nah, like you nosy.
Yeah, it's that Jesus talk. I don't want to hear about that. You always trying to get in my life. You trying to, you know, that's crazy. That's crazy because, you know, that is really crazy. Because when I try to talk to people, or you know, when you feel led to talk to people, and then you talking to them, and you catch yourself talking to them too much, then I'm like, I ain't talking to you no more.
Hello.
And then now I understand why Samuel was so mad at Saul. He was like, look, bro, no, you messed it up with God. Nope, you done.
It didn't even need a king.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? So here you are, and now you're messing it up.
You know what I'm saying? And even after Samuel died. Well, I didn't even look. I'm trying to tell you, God literally told me to like read, and I don't even know why I was reading this. But the fact that Samuel wasn't even living, and Saul was like, I need some help, and he like, and mind you, I didn't even think this stuff. I thought it was like hocus pocus. Yeah. But like the fact that he went to somebody, I forgot what the lady was named, but like whatever she was, and he called Samuel up.
Yeah.
And Samuel was dead and was like, why are you calling me?
Oof.
Like, that's crazy. Like, bro, you did what you did. Like, you messed up. But it's crazy because it's like we talk to these, well, I feel like I've been led to talk to people. But then when I get to a point where I'm like, bro, it's like I'm talking to a wall. I can't talk to you no more. But like how you said, if you're not able to see yourself, you won't be able to discern anything, or you won't be open enough to even receive anything. That's so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the scarcity mindset, it pulls up in different areas.
Yeah,
like my mom died when I was 16, but then shortly after that, my best friend died too.
Oh,
when I was in college.
You didn't say that? You just gonna leave that out?
Yeah, she died from sickle cell. And I was out in Atlanta when it happened. And I'm like, what is going on? I just felt like, you know, my grandmother passed, then my mom passed, then my best friend passed.
And how, okay, so you said 2006, right?
2006.
When she passed.
When my mom passed.
You're in college now. Dang,
yeah, so it was like 4 years later.
Already.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I thought that I was just getting my footing.
Oh.
And then that happened too. And I'm like, what is going on? And that's a tactic too, where you can start, I feel like you can, with any situation that happens, you can look at it one way or another. Like you really have a choice.
Yeah, you do.
And I think at one point I had chosen to feel like relationships are a little bit too, there's too much weight attached to that. But in that, I could have possibly been pushing away opportunities to heal, opportunities to break off some things. But because I was so closed off, I didn't quite see it, as opposed to really saying, like the Bible says, like life is but a vapor. Like it's here one day and gone the next. So what are you going to do with it? And because I wasn't seeing it that way, the complacency creeps in and you're not moving in the fullness of who you are. You know, God gave us grace. Thank God for his grace. Because I know that there were times when he wanted me to do something and I was like, okay, I'll get to it.
You know what I'm saying?
But I feel like he's really like restoring some of the things that I wanted to do, some of the old passions and stuff. So, you know, he's patient with us. I never want to squander his grace, but I feel like I'm starting to finally see myself correctly. And in that, like, if I'm a kingdom kid, he already said I'm victorious. So why am I, at this point, it almost feels ridiculous to be thinking less of myself than how God sees me.
That's
you know? And I think this is the time that I got to that I'm like, oh, okay. You know how you see somebody with clothes on that don't fit? It's like, you don't see it? Like, that's 5 sizes too big, or that's hanging off your, or that's not working. And I feel like that now. Like some of the thoughts that try to creep in, I'm like, that don't even sound like me. You know, so you can evict that thing a little easier than before.
Catching it faster.
Big time.
Yeah, that's good, man. That is so good, man. But I appreciate you for tapping in with me.
Thank you for having me,
bro. You know what I'm saying? Today was a good one.
I have a lot to think about.
Yeah, man. And you let me know some stuff that I didn't know. You know, so I didn't know that you lost your best friend and stuff like that. But I appreciate you for coming through. And like I said the last time, man, time is the most important thing that we have. And you spent that with us, you know what I'm saying? And I know that this will help somebody.
Amen. I pray.
So I appreciate you.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank